Next speaker is Dr. Faisal Al-Rifai, who received his bachelor's degree in medicine and surgery from Aberdeen University in Scotland, for which he received a Mary Honorary Medal for Scientific Achievement from the Kuwaiti government. Subsequently, he completed his master's degrees in healthcare management with distinction in the University of Wales. He has also completed numerous executive education courses in healthcare management and innovation at Harvard Business School. Again, let us welcome once more Dr. Faisal Al-Rifai.
Okay, our next panelist is a person who has over 25 years of experience, a CEO. When I asked him to introduce or to give me keywords about his leadership, it was inclusive, empowerment, and teamwork. I do believe this hint gives us about the personality we will deal and hear from today. He is a person who graduated from Kuwait University with a bachelor degree in chemical engineering and chemical engineering, master's degree in chemical engineering from Kuwait University and bachelor's degree from Missouri University, Columbia. Please welcome me in welcoming Mr. Faisal Malallah.
We have Mr. Omar Al-Awadi, who is an inspiring business leader whose career is defined by innovation, business development, and strategic vision and impactful achievements. He holds a bachelor's degree in finance from the Gulf University for Science and Technology, where he has also served as the president of the Students Association. He has over 10 years of experience in different businesses when it comes to the manufacturing down to the food and beverage industry. Let us give a round of applause for Mr. Omar Al-Awadi.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Can everyone hear us right at the back? Show of hands. Everybody can hear us. Is this loud enough? Good morning and welcome to the first HR Excellence Conference with North Star Management. I'm proud to be the first moderator of this panel, Strategic Synergy, in which we are going to be looking at some of what is the view from the top, the CEOs, the COOs, what is the vision from the top, and how should this affect our HR vision. So I'm Uzma Said, as they've already talked about. Thank you, the ones who were before us. Mansoor, you gave us more than coffee. That was excellent. Thanks for the energizer. Mr. Abdulaziz Arumi, you raised the bar. Now we have a big one to come up with, right? And distinguished panel here, Dr. Faisal Rifai, my ex-colleague at the Sman Diabetes, Mr. Faisal Atallah from Al-Quth, and Omar Al-Awadi. I have a few questions that I really thought that we should talk about. You know, me being an HR practitioner from a long time, you know, I have been closely associated with the CEOs of the companies that I worked for, and maybe I'd like to explore that a little bit further. So first of all, people, what did we say? Change, right? So people and change. No people. Yes, yeah, we don't change people. We used to have a CEO, and I'm going to talk about him. He used to say, if our people do not learn change management, we will change management. So interesting enough. So how important do you think change management is, and how was your organization instrumental in managing change? So I'd open it up to any of you who have a story to tell, maybe about change management in your organization.
I don't mind. Okay. Sabahkum al-Bukhair. Good morning, everyone. So when I think about the question, Uzma, I think it's not about the importance of change, because I don't think that's questionable anymore. I think change is the constant. There is no progress without change, and more particularly as times are moving, and if you go back to even historic, people changed very slowly thousands of years ago. But in the last 120, 150 years, the change we've seen is only accelerating in its pace. And so the question of whether change is important or not is really not there anymore.
Agreed.
It's how do we change, how do we embrace change, and how do we accept that these times are changing at an extremely fast pace, where we need to embrace that change, understand that it's something that we can't avoid, and empower, if you like, the team to find their way through this change in their uniqueness and individualism. I think that's important. So if we think about things around us, and maybe one of the most simple ones is technology. The adoption of technology in organizations now is super fast. And so what do we do, or how do we help our teams adopt these technologies, for example? One important one is training and development, focusing on how we can empower our employees to adopt that change and embrace it. Now, I'm sure, and everybody says this, there's a resistance to change. And I think that's a natural human behavior as well. That in comfort, we find that we're happy, we're comfortable, and we think we don't want to change. But in reality, when we see the outcome of change, we realize that it's something we should probably embrace, even though it comes with its difficulties and its trials and tribulations. So I think that's kind of more of a thinking way of approaching change, where it's not something that we choose, but something that we have to live with.
Great. Do you have a story from your organization?
I mean, within Dasman, for example, just as an example, we had an electronic health record about 6-7 years ago that became quite obsolete. And if you work in a healthcare organization, you realize that electronic health record is really how you manage patients. It's a very important resource, and we had to change it. We had to change it dramatically because we were unable to develop it, and so we had to adopt a new system altogether. And that transition was very difficult for everyone using that system, and which is the majority. But we went through the motion. We helped choose the system together, so that was buy-in from the team to show that there's engagement in this change right from the beginning. So it wasn't something that was just dropped on them. Mm-hmm. Through the change process, there was a lot of training, a lot of teaching, a lot of coaching and mentoring. And I like how Abdulaziz, and one of the things focused on, when it comes to leadership and leading, it's about coaching and mentoring, not really offering training courses and things that are maybe generic in nature, but more ingrained within the culture. And we rolled it out. Then we identified champions, and we showed how leading, not only from leadership perspective, but within the whole team, you can identify champions and leaders at all levels to showcase their adoption of that change and how it's working positively, and then showcase success stories, which show, this is a successful change, it's been useful, and we measure how it was useful and showcase it to everyone.
Thank you very much. Would any of you like to add anything on that question about change?
It's basically, Muslim. What he said was absolutely informative and fruitful. Another way of change when it comes to rising companies, let's say, it's a whole different world over there. So when you're in a company that is taking, let's say, baby steps, and rising from being a startup up to an SME, up to a medium, and up to a mega company. Within those levels, here's where a lot of changes happen. It's on the technical aspects, it's on the hierarchies aspects, it's on the structures, it's also on the headquarters by itself, and depends on the field you're in. So sometimes it goes into larger scales of employments, larger scales of warehouses, buildings, head offices, logistically, and which definitely requires a technological jump and shift, which really requires a lot of change in here, because changes in here. So when it comes to a change of a company's level of performance, that would require an infrastructural change. And I do believe that would require, of course, if, for example, Mr. Abdulaziz would talk about that, I do believe he would need 3 days in order just to go into infrastructural changes, and he would be the master behind that to talk about. But I only had it by experience. I only had it by practice, which I was obliged to go through based on me owning multiple companies. And sometimes you just need to dig your way in. So I am not, I would not say it as Mr. Abdulaziz would, or any other HR guru, or any other even better CEO than I am, or better owner than I am. But practice definitely teaches you exceptional change, where everyone really takes the lesson with you. And here's where whoever are endured with you, whether if they're employees or HODs in the company, and we're able to be the, let's say, backbone of that change, that's a jackpot for whoever actually put their hand as a backbone in this change, where you felt weak without them, and they made you feel stronger. And that's all based on no, let's say, infrastructural planning to such a huge change. I really hope and wish for every one of you to get such a chance, because it is definitely a jackpot, because here's where employees become HODs, and here's where HODs become partners in companies, which we actually experience. So hooray for changes.
Yeah. One of my mentors had said, it's either the quick, if you're not quick, you're dead about change. So basically that's what it is. You know, if you are not quick enough to adapt, you're out of it. You're out of the market, you're out of the race. So yeah, thank you very much for that. Peter Drucker, an eminent management guru, I'm sure you've all heard of him, he said, culture eats strategy for breakfast every day. Culture eats strategy for breakfast every day. What has your experience been in managing strategy versus culture?
Hey, good morning, everyone. I guess it flows from the change discussion as well. From my own experience, I brought in a new strategy to the organization that I'm in. 4 years ago, when I was appointed to this company, shareholders have a vision. We want to achieve this or that. So you get into the company, you start studying it, and you see that the people are getting used to working in a certain direction or a certain way. This is our way, and this is what we produce. And now you come up with a new strategy, because I know shareholders want to go a different direction. You study, you bring in a consultant, okay, you set your strategy. Now you face the difficulty that everyone is not used to this. So I think we as business leaders sometimes neglect or forget that you're not dealing with machines, but people. And the people have feeling, the people have worries. They see you come up with a change or a change in strategy, they think, now you're threatening my job. And this being an HR conference, this is where HR comes and helps a business leader really. For implementing a strategy, for implementing change. HR helps us identify the right people in the organization and sometimes out of the organization. So like, okay, they'll say, Faisal, you need this or that. This organization does not have the capability. We'll bring you someone who can do it. And that's what I need HR leaders to help. When you say culture eats strategy, it's true, because if you don't manage these difficulties well, the people are not going to accept your strategy. They'll work against it. And if they work against it and you don't do anything about it, the strategy is gone. Cannot be implemented.
Dr. Faisal, do you remember the culture champions we had created at Dasman?
Absolutely, Ilma. Actually, driving here today, I was thinking that period at Dasman was one of the most, culturally shifting periods in DDI, really. Kudos to you and Huda then. When we thought it was strange for us at Dasman, it was a different, different activities, different things were being done. But I want to focus on, so culture is about values, it's about beliefs, it's about how we do things, the rules, the attitudes. And I think the reason each strategy is always the winner, if we say,
Yeah.
is because deeply ingrained
Yes.
in the organization. It's not something that can be changed with ease. Sometimes it happens without intent, which is dangerous potentially if you're not planning on how you'd like the culture to be designed, if you like. And I think culture should be approached with intent, not with, oh, it's a collective of things that happen. Strategy, on the other hand, is where you're going. But how you do it can be very different. So you can achieve or get to the same objective, but in very different ways. And I think that's the culture of it. So changing culture is extremely difficult. And as Mr. Faisal said, if you don't have the right culture, it doesn't matter what kind of strategy you put in place, because potentially the misalignment could be detrimental to that final outcome. And I think when it comes to culture, it should be done with intent. I think this is one thing I really want to push, and not kind of just happen, you know?
Yeah, it's called deliberate leadership. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Would you like to add anything, Mr. Amar, before I move on? Okay, that's great. How has your HR been pivotal in attracting global talent? And by global, I don't mean different nationalities, but global in mindset, global in approach and action. Dr. Faisal?
So I'm going to go back to Desman because it's very diverse. Desman attracts talent from all over the world. And I remember early on, it was extremely difficult to do that. And we had to come up with ways to entice people. And I just want to kind of mention what we did as an example of. So some of it comes in the kind of incentives you offer. Sometimes people, and you have to think of people not as just they're coming here to do a job, but they're potentially coming to live here. They're coming to enjoy working here, enjoy living here, and so you look at it collectively. They may come alone, they may come with a family, so the whole thing matters, looking at them in that sense. And so some of it was financial based, where you ease transition, for example, from one country to another, right? But also embrace the diversity in culture. So at DDI, while we speak Arabic, for example, and many other languages, our international language is English because it's the most spoken, and we've adopted that, where in meetings, even if everyone speaks Arabic, we speak English, only because that's how messages are conveyed, communication is clearer, and so that adoption shows the acceptance and embracement of a diverse workforce. Uzma, you're an example of something maybe some people see simple, but embracing how people dress, for example. You always dress traditionally, and I hope that you felt in DDI that this is not only accepted, but embraced. It's a norm for us. We're happy with it. We understand it completely. An example I can also mention is, for example, Christmas. Christmas in Kuwait is not an official holiday. But going back to when I was in the UK and I worked at the NHS, when Eid came and we spoke to our colleagues, they embraced our Eid celebration and said, take a day off. Take a day off. You can,
Yeah.
we understand its importance, etc. We do the same thing here, where there are certain holidays, various, cultures, and we say, oh, it's your day today. You don't need to show up. It might not be official, but it's accepted, and that, it's a culture of acceptance and embracing. That's one aspect, but then there's the performance aspect, and I think that's important too. Different work cultures have different ways of managing how work is achieved and done. So we've developed from maybe a more local kind of way of looking at things is time in, time out, to flexible working times, working from home, which is more accepted in other cultures, maybe other work cultures. But if you show acceptance within an organization, you embody what it means to be global, and so you attract that kind of talent. And then finally, the way you brand yourself and the way you show purpose attracts that kind of talent, which is driven on, what is your end goal and objective? What do you want to achieve, and how important is it for you? And so showing that that is very important and that's the ultimate thing that you want to achieve attracts that kind of talent from everywhere. And it becomes what we want to achieve is more important than anything else, rather than where you come from, your background, etc., and it's embraced in that purpose.
Yeah. Dasman, as you might all know, Dasman Diabetes is a non-profit organization. So that also makes it stand out, when it comes to, it's a differentiator. It's not necessarily everybody's cup of tea. So, I think that would be a bigger challenge. Do you agree?
And it can be. You're absolutely right, and it's quite different. It's not a very corporate, maybe financial result-driven, entity. It's driven by, we would like to help people with diabetes live a better life. And so you can attract talent from all over the world wanting to engage in that.
Requires a special kind of passion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, yeah. Great. Anybody else? Would you like to add some of your stories on?
I think I'll add to this talent by HR, the importance of it. An organization is as good as the people working in it. So whatever you do in all levels, it has to match what's your intention and what your goals are. The people skills, that is. So if you want your organization to perform in A level, the people has to be in A level. You cannot have D level people and you're trying to achieve A level performance. That doesn't work. And this is where your HR recruitment is important. If you have a strong HR department that can do good recruitment, then you essentially have your own headhunter. If that headhunter can bring you the A people that you want to achieve your A goals, then the HR achieved our goals. But if they couldn't do it, then I can't go anywhere. And that's the importance of recruitment and HR. Otherwise, I'll have to go work as HR myself, and then I'm not working as CEO.
Right.
It doesn't.
Thank you.
So I'm seeing some of my current HR, like Miriam over there, and my ex-HR over there.
There's some history there. I was fortunate enough to work with one of Kuwait's best CEOs, best in class, Dr. Saad Al-Barrak. I'm sure you all know him. The CEO of Zain Group, where I was for almost 12 years working with them. He was a largely misunderstood person because he was far ahead of his times. He believed in a philosophy called chaos by design. Chaos by design. It's about how to harness the power of creative chaos to shift your organization from fragile to agile. Your thoughts about this philosophy, number one? And part two, is this something that you can deploy in today's Gen Z and digital era? Sure.
Since it's in the F&B sector, first of all, Saad Al-Barrak, definitely a guru with what he does. Design by chaos is I don't know. Yeah? Okay. So it is something that we might be doing by default when it's in the F&B sector. Sometimes you would find some companies finding themselves doing it based on the pace of the industry. And, and it really goes back to the leadership by the end of the day, whether if you're that tight or not. The thing is, when it comes to the F&B sector and when it comes to design by chaos, when it comes to the agile, let's say, format of HR leadership, it really resembles the field that you're in. And it really goes back to whether if you are compliant into or obliged into compliance, would you rather have your company on a more organized scale, on a more successive scale? Is it on a more reportive scale? I do believe in this case agile wouldn't be your thing. Agile would require a lot of flexibility. It would require a lot of chaos, literally, but some organized chaos. And it definitely requires a very high caliber when it comes to HODs. I mean, there are some people who might take that concept, that wonderful, very exceptional concept, and apply it onto a very bad infrastructure. Here's where hell comes. Here's where fire starts. And here's where, books sometimes are applied in the wrong way. I couldn't urge you enough to please find yourself the right infrastructure before applying such a dangerous, wonderful concept. So being agile is something that I can't wait for it to happen in my company, as it have started in one of our sister companies as well, which is amazing. I can't express it enough. Everyone is enjoying it. Everyone is coming to work feeling like home, just like the doctor loves it, and just like we all encourage it. And I do find it to be the best way when it's designed by chaos, because here's where everyone will feel really
Engaged.
Absolutely engaged, and also a decision maker of themselves. And that's how it would really succeed, when you, no matter who you are a decision maker or considered as a decision maker in your own department. And here's where stuff won't be as neat and organized as we're used to it, but that is why it really requires very robust infrastructure when it comes to an excellent caliber of an HOD plus an excellent criteria of employment. Because when agile structure or design by chaos method or methodologies start to get applied into a company, it might make sense on a certain level, but it would definitely, with rising and with that company getting bigger and bigger, it would definitely turn into literal chaos without the appropriate ways and methods of transitions, and without the appropriate methodologies of evolving, by evolving the caliber itself, by evolving the appropriate infrastructure of each and every department, the SOPs, the SLAs, the KRAs, if not KPIs, because KPIs won't do. When it comes to agile, you can't just take it and throw it out, which I would totally agree to be honest, on a personal level. But the thing is, here's where things need to be harmonized. So we can't say yes to agile and yes to chaos or design by chaos without having a proper infrastructure for that, because or else HR will get the hit by applying a beautiful model without really applying its infrastructure first. So that's basically it. Do I emphasize it 100%? I really find it a difficulty on maybe, I'm not sure. The doctor would know when it's on the healthcare or not. I would find it very challenging when it's on a governmental scale, but I would definitely find it 100% smooth on a technological, let's say, more of the tech companies, more into our field, which is the F&B, food and beverage, as they are really fast in pace, as
Yes.
we need to be adaptable as much as we can. We need to be fast as much as we can. We cannot handle the hierarchy, we cannot handle the departmental things and the paperwork, and we just can't. Or else you can, but just to stay back on the line.
Exactly. You run the risk of everything going haywire if it is not dealt properly. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Do we have time for one question maybe from the audience? Maybe one? Anybody? Going once? Going twice? Anybody? Here's your chance. Talk to your CEOs. All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen.